Hello there everybody and welcome to another Imperator Rome Developer Diary. And yes, this is apparently the last dev diary of the year. So before we just, dive into it, I will say that for any of the devs that watch these videos, Merry Christmas, Io Saturnalia. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season. No matter what kind of holiday you have, I hope it's a great one. And yeah, just thanks for all your hard work. And yeah, we'll see you again fresh in the new year when we won't be beplagued by 2020. But anyway, let's get into the dev diary, shall we? And this one, at least initially, is written by Arheo. So of course, we can't just go into the dev diary. We have to see what kind of date system this troll has decided to go with this time. And oh, he's chosen I don't get this, man. Nobody uses this date system. This is year, day, month. Nobody uses that. No one. It's like the worst system, the American system, but then flipped around. Why? Why would you do this? Arheo, please. You're from Yorkshire. Act like it. It is the 14th of the 12th, 2020. My dude, come on. Anyway, with that out of the way, and I know there's going to be comments complaining about me complaining about the date, but, get over it. Anyway, let us move on. Greetings all. Today you will be taken through a deep dive into the Antigonid mission trees coming in the Heirs of Alexander content pack. Before we get started on that, however, I have a few housekeeping points to mention. Firstly, this will be the last dev diary of the year, as we are now leading up to the Christmas vacations. Secondly, this also means that indeed Marius and Heirs of Alexander will not be coming out this year. This is a very comprehensive update, and we're going to take the time to get it right. So, first of all, that's a good decision. Honestly, I think that's a wise decision. We are mid-December right now. The last time we got an update to Paradox game mid-December, we ended up in a situation where, well, it was Megacorp, and that was bad. We had a mid-December Megacorp release, and then the devs went on, their Christmas holidays, as they are entirely entitled to do so. But the game was kind of broken for a good few weeks while, obviously, the devs weren't fixing it because they're on holiday. It's good that they're not releasing now, because if there is a bug or a glitch or a whatever that hasn't been spotted, or they haven't had time to fix, or they haven't had the time to, find the right fix, and it ends up being pushed out. This is Imperator's re-release, like 2.0. This is when Imperator can say, look, this is what I am now. You may have played me on release, and you may not have liked me on release, but this is me now. This is the re-release. Here I am, right? And if you release that, if you have that re-release in December, and there's something wrong with it, you want to be able to fix that something within a day, within 2 days, whatever. You can't leave that for, a fortnight, 3 weeks, a month, whatever, because this is the re-release. This is the chance for Imperator to, make that first impression. And it's not gonna, it's really not a good idea to, leave that hanging on a bug, So yeah, good idea. Obviously, I would like to play the game. I would like to play 2.0, but I am happier with this than I would be with, a game-breaking bug being left there for a few weeks. But anyway, let's move on. We came here for housekeeping, not for housekeeping, but for content, and content we shall provide. So, first of all, we have this government screen for the Antigonids, and we have this little lovely button right here. This is the Anoint button. We can now choose our heirs. That is quite delightful. Costs you some political influence, costs you some legitimacy. Legitimacy is actually a much bigger deal in Imperator than it is in EU4, so losing 25 is not actually that comfortable. But it's you get to choose your heir, and maybe you won't have the incapable eunuch, and instead you'll have the glorious Chad with the best beard. That might be what you get. So as you notice this button in an early version of the UI rework, the time has come to explain more. So, selecting heirs in monarchies, no longer will the line of succession be an immutable certainty, altered only by accidental death. For a hefty cost in resources and perceived legitimacy, you'll be able to grant your approval to anyone in your ruler's direct line of succession. As you might imagine, this may have consequences among the other successors. Yeah, I imagine Demetrius would not be quite happy if you were to appoint his brother. I don't actually know the name of this character, but he would not be happy. And Demetrius should definitely be the ruler, because he's a fairly decent guy. Yeah. This minor feature was something we'd wanted to add for a while, and in the course of doing so, it became apparent that this allowed for the creation of an additional government type, namely the Elective Monarchy. Strictly speaking, there was no traditionally elective successions that we know of during our start time period, and yeah, if you know of any, let them know. But, I don't know of any, so, yeah, who knows. The election of kings was a tradition which exists in many of our core nations' histories, including Rome. Monarchy government types will be able to enable elective succession with a law, as well as with other succession types. And elective succession is something that we saw in a previous dev diary, but completely blanked it by, for me at least. It was on the laws screen that we were shown, and elective was one of the options there. And yeah, I just completely blanked on it. And I think there was a person on Reddit that ended up finding it. Yeah, good spot by him, but I completely missed it. But anyway, let's move on. This variety of succession law greatly reduces all ordinary contributions to succession value, and instead gives all eligible characters in your nation a vote towards the next monarch, chosen from amongst their valid successors. The factors behind their preference for any given candidate are quite wide, including difference in stats, culture, religion, and quite prominently age. You'll still be able to anoint a chosen candidate with the anoint succession feature, however will this be much less impactful than it is in other succession types. In practice, elective monarchies can result in an unpredictable succession that leads you a monarch of advanced age. But why would this be good? Aside from being pretty fun and encouraging out-of-the-box thinking in order to manipulate elections, successors in elective monarchies do not receive a pretender loyalty malice. They put all of their energy into getting themselves elected and not stirring up trouble. I like this quite a lot. Especially, getting, the other successors to not have this loyalty malice is, I think, really quite good, because I believe it actually kind of makes sense as well. You would have, say, in a succession where a normal succession of the Antigonids, you've got these four fellas that are all trying to take the throne. If it is a normal succession, Demetrius will get the throne, and his brothers will not like that because maybe they think that they would be the better candidate, and they would try and revolt. They would try to usurp Demetrius because they feel like they've got the support to do so. In an elective succession type, and Demetrius gets the job, well, he knows that he doesn't have the support, because if he had the support, he would be king right now. We know that Demetrius has the support because it was what put him on the throne. So, yeah, I can see why this would be, logical. I like it. It's good. So, now moving on to unit models, which is about 2 weeks too late, but it's fine, we've got them now. Not there yet, but here's a preview of the Scythian, Levee, and Legion models. Looks fairly decent. I love the scale mail armor. That looks lovely. I love the elf boots as well. That's kind of fun. And then we've got the Iberic culture, which I absolutely adore, this Legion model for the Iberians. I think it's kind of funny that their shield is smaller than the Levees, but yeah, no, it's really cool. I also love their sword. Absolutely lovely. And now we're moving on to Chopmist to take us through the Antigonid mission tree, coming with the Heirs of Alexander DLC, and our latest attempt at creating the longest dev diary known to man. Yeah, thanks guys, thanks. So, Salve. Joe from Content Design here, and it's my turn to take you through some of what we've been cooking up for our upcoming expansion, Heirs of Alexander. This time it's missions for the Antigonid Kingdom, some with other content treats thrown in. It's probably my favourite Diadochi realm, featuring towering personalities, compelling what-ifs, and an interesting underdog story. I mean, it eventually turns into an underdog story, but at the start of the game, it's certainly not an underdog. He's the overdog. Antigonus One-Eye is the overdog. I mean, the underdog would be Lysimachus, who took land from him, but it's by the way. Antigonus the One-Eyed is an often overlooked Diadochi state. I mean, that pun is... it's diabolical. It's absolutely abhorrent. I mean, all puns are bad by their very nature, but some just really take the biscuit, and that's just awful. And honestly, I think it's kind of reaching too, because I don't think, you know, I don't feel like Antigonus is overlooked. I think, you know, considering he starts as the most powerful Diadochi in the game, you know, he's not entirely overlooked there. He's doing all right. It's only the fact that, you know, the Antigonids lost the Battle of Ipsus, that, you know, they kind of fell apart. But I don't think that's really overlooked per se. But hey, whatever you can do for the bad pun, I guess. He's remembered for his defeat at Ipsus and outshone by the more enduring Seleucids and Egyptians, despite the fact he enjoyed decades of dominance, had an immense impact, and left a gripping story on fortune's cruel reversals. His domain's disappearance only a few years after our start date offered an interesting design challenge, with only the preceding history and what the ancient historians wrote of the character to guide their immediate objectives. I wanted to allow for the interesting possibilities of an alternative history Antigonid victory, as well as the historic flight of the dynasty to Macedon after Antigonus' defeat, and of course, please those who just want that big yellow fridge to crash and burn as quickly as possible. I will admit I fall into all three of those camps. Also, the fact that they are really saying that, you know, pointing out that the Antigonids ended up becoming, you know, the powers of Macedon is really good, right? Because it's something that doesn't happen in the game as it stands. Right? Historically, after the loss at Ipsus, Demetrius ended up overthrowing Cassander, or is it Cassandra's sons? Either way, he ended up becoming the ruler of Macedon with his capital in Pella, all the bells and whistles, and it was the Antigonids who were in control of Macedon when Rome split them in half, and then half again and just ate them all. And it's something that the game really doesn't have the ability to model right now. You know, one dynasty becoming the ruling faction over another country is not something that we have the ability to see. But, you know, with mission trees, that might be possible. So we'll see what they end up doing with this. In the end, the Antigonids received 3 mission trees, the first 2 focusing on their historic struggles in our period, and the third offering some alt history fun. So, Antigonus's vision. By the game start, Antigonus has already spent the 29 years since the Battle of Issus, slowly consolidating his power from Selene, his capital in the satrapy of Phrygia, and at this point, the fall of his kingdom was perhaps difficult to imagine. Having remained in the west of Alexander's empire, Antigonus was not caught up in the excesses and adventures of the eastern expeditions. As a member of Philip II's generation, he perhaps viewed these ventures more soberly than the younger royal companions he would later face, especially given the murder of his closest contemporaries Clytus the Black and Parmenion by the king. Having already lost everything fleeing from the regent Perdiccas soon after words, fucking Greek names, man, they trip me up so much. Having already almost lost everything fleeing from the regent Perdiccas soon after Alexander's death, Antigonus has reconquered his holdings and beaten the Perdican satraps of Anatolia, including the famed Greek general Eumenes, who he chased all the way to Media. Persia has since abandoned to the Seleucids, the satrap of Babylon, but despite this, Antigonus rules over a vast realm stretching from the Hellespont to the Euphrates and Judea. He's recently declared himself joint Basilius king with his son Demetrius after the naval victory over Ptolemy at Salamis, simultaneously elevating his dynasty from petty nobility to royalty, claiming his lands as independent from the authority of Cassander in Macedon, and introducing his heir to the eastern subjects early to ensure a smooth transition upon his death. To guarantee his dynasty's survival, he looks to reverse recent setbacks in the Diadochi Wars and develop his new capital, Antigonids, as a center of power and crossroads of the East, ensuring the fruits of decades of statecraft are not seized by Alexander's jumped-up bodyguards and remain in the family. Great right up there. I love it. So, Antigonus' vision. Also, can I just point out, this is the first time we've seen, like, the mission tree as part of the UI as a whole, right? Usually we've just seen, oh, there's a mission tree and we've got like a big picture of just this. I think this looks way nicer when it's like this, rather than just giving us a blown up version of just the mission tree panel. This looks really good. Like, the game looks fucking gorgeous now. I'm not even joking. I'm very happy with what it's looking like right now. It's really, really nice. I can't wait to play it though. Jesus, just give me it now, please. So yeah, we got Demetrius's playground, going into Tyre, Hellenic Liberator, Greek Colonists, got Diadochi Conquest, Phoenicia. Alright. The main branches focus on the long-held ambition of securing Greece, starting with the strategic city of Corinth, and later on keeping the other Diadochi in check, with the diplomatic and economic opportunities along the way. Antigonus' relations with the Greeks, particularly in the Athenians, Ionians, and Aeolians, is one of his main legacies, epitomized by his Tyre Proclamation, in which he promised to protect the autonomy of all Greek cities. His overtures not only secured alliances, but also provided vital manpower to bolster the Macedonian armies depleted by decades of war. Alright, so we've got the attracted Greek colonists here. Our envoys and magistrates have done their best to drum up enthusiasm for further Greek colonization using whatever means necessary, while our surveyors poured over our holdings looking for the most suitable sites for resettlement. Their efforts have not been in vain, evidently, as there's not an insignificant number of colonists ready to settle at our chosen site, which awaits only the final word of our Basilius, who plans to name the colony after Antigonus Monophthalmus's father, Philippus. So, yeah, you can choose to set up a new city. I like it. 6 pops go there, get some attraction, assimilation, yeah, good stuff, and renaming the city as well. It's pretty fun. Many of the later Greek cities, or great cities, of Syria were arguably merely renamed by the Seleucids, and were in fact originally settled by Antigonus using veterans of the Argead army, which passed to his command for Antipaters at Triparadisus. For example, Apamea was originally given the reassuringly Macedonian name of Pella. Avenging the recent setbacks of his mishap-prone son Demetrius will be a pressing concern, the defeat at Rhodes being particularly galling given Ptolemy's involvement. So we've at last put the loathsome Rhodians who attempted to stay out of the Diadochi conflicts while reaping the benefits of our protection in their place. Demetrius's humiliation has now been satisfied by the fruits of Nike, and the might of the Antigonids placed beyond doubt. So what we could do is destroy the Colossus of Rhodes, which I'm never going to do, even if it does give me money and such, because it's the Colossus of Rhodes. It's I will say right now, if I was to go back in time and be able to view one of the 7 wonders of the world as they stood when they were built, it would be the Colossus of Rhodes. That's the one that interests me the most. So yeah, no, I shan't be destroying the Colossus. That's not on the cards. No, thank you, no. The Rhodians will know their place though, for sure. Ultimately, the Antigonids will aim to unite all of Greece, revive Philip's League of Corinth as a protectorate, and declare themselves as the true successors of the Argeads. I really like the idea of this right now. I think we have these defensive leagues that you can join if you're really small, but there's no protector of a defensive league, and I think that is exactly what Greece needs, right? You need the defensive leagues where they all protect each other, but you also need a grand protector, and all of the Greek Diadochi should be wanting to be that protector. We will be, the head of the League of Corinth, or the Delian League, or the Spartan one, which I've forgotten the name of. Achaean League? No, that doesn't sound right. Whatever. But all of the Diadochi should want to be hegemons of Greek leagues. And, you know, this gives me a little bit of hope that that's exactly what we're going to see. We'll find out. I'd rather it be that than a, you know, having each of the members individually as, you know, client states. I'd much prefer if they were functionally independent in a defensive league with each other, and the defensive league itself was named something. And that could be a mechanic that is applied elsewhere. Like, if you're in a defensive league, the defensive league has a name, and the defensive league has like this ghost tag, and you, as a large nation, can be the protector of that ghost tag, that league. And I think that would be really kind of cool. But anyway, let's move on. Of course, all that is moot if our favourite Cyclops fails to hold his strategic bastions or cannot conquer Corinth from Cassander before he dies. So, the Antigonid cause wavers. As before, falling short will trigger an event, but whereas in the past the Antigonids had to choose between releasing Asia to Pergamon or taking a large hit to their stability, subject loyalty and legitimacy, I wanted to better depict the consequences of the real-life post-Ipsus partition, splintering the Antigonids in a predictable but differing ways depending on their chosen path and drawing the other Diadochi into conflict over its results. The Antigonids can now decide to go west and stake a claim to the turbulent Macedonian heartland by forfeiting Asia to the other Diadochi, or hold on to the diminished core of an eastern territories but lose their sway over Greece. Interesting. Okay, so you got that choice. So, with his passing, the state that Antigonus built out of his Phrygian satrapy stands, for the first time, without its founder. His meteoric rise once attracted the envy and admiration of a generation, but the arrayed enmity of the other Diadochi has tested the old general to the limit. Loyalty among our Asian subjects and their Macedonian administrators is wavering, and the myriad provinces are already welcoming our enemies, driving the others dangerously close to defecting from our authority. We must decide whether to attempt to keep hold of what remains of Antigonus' eastern core together, or risk the fate of our dynasty on the connections with the Greeks to the west. So, we could either say we will return to reclaim what is lost, not let go of a single city, or the Antigonids are finished, others have a plan. Alright, so the first one, you lose progress on the mission, that's fine. The mission Macedonian Aspirations will become available, so that's the second of the missions. Asia and Phrygia will defect as satrapies of Thrace. Bithynia and Paphlagonia and western mainland Cilicia will be seized by Thrace. Palestine seized by Egypt. Assyria, Mesopotamia, Syria, excepting Tyrus, will be seized by Seleucids. Caria and eastern mainland Cilicia will be seized by Macedon. Holy shit, that is a lot of land. You also get legion and navy maintenance costs down. Loyalty of subject states goes down. That's only for, what, 20 years? Wow, that is a huge loss. Going west, the Antigonids retain only Greece, Cyprus, and the Phoenician city of Tyre, with the Diadochi carving up their other territories as they did historically. Cara and Cilicia go to the short-lived satrapy of Cassander's brother Pleisarchus, though Macedon may also choose to take the land themselves, while Thrace receives the vassal satrapies of Sardis and Phrygia, ruled by the treacherous governors Dosimus and Phoenix, who defected from the Antigonids after their defeat. And that is what it will look like if you choose to do so. And considering the vast scale of the Antigonid Empire before you take that mission or the event, that is a colossal loss of land. The Antigonids had functionally all of Anatolia. Cappadocia was a satrapy of theirs. They had all the land down here. That is a huge, absolutely colossal loss of territory. And holy crap. And the thing is, if you want to experience Macedonian Aspirations mission, you're gonna have to suck it up and deal with this. That's insane. That's insane. That is a huge loss of territory. Historically, Demetrius and his son Antigonus II went on to dislodge the heirs of Cassander and the other pretenders in Macedon, their family ruling there until those garum-guzzling Romans ousted Antigonus the One-Eye's great-great-great-grandson Perseus a century and a half later. Not a bad innings. As a result, going west is required to unlock the next mission tree, which I'll discuss soon. Going west will also temporarily half legion and ship upkeep, allowing the Antigonids to maintain a semblance of power despite their territorial losses, though their subjects will not be happy to remain under their thumb. Staying in the east, on the other hand, will now cost them Greece, Cyprus, Bithynia, Asia, Palestine, and the Euphrates, if they still hold them, that is, along with the old stability and other malices. So if you choose to stay east, well, either way, Thrace is getting a ton of land. You stay a little bit stronger here. Arguably, you have the most prosperous parts of your empire. Syria is really nice territory. This seems like a more comebackable situation. For sure, but yeah, that is certainly interesting. And I guess the way that you avoid either of these scenarios is you take Corinth before Antigonus dies. Straight up, you're gonna have to take Corinth. Wow, that's insane. That is pure insanity. Holy shit. All right, cool. Alright, moving on. What's that? The third option? Well, if failure isn't your jam, you can always game on. Game on. Oh my god, the pun. Oh man. Chop missed, why? I already had a headache, and now you've just made it worse with the absolute nature of that pun. It's cringy. That's right, you can switch tags to the newly reborn satrapy of Pergamon, ruled by the Attalids if they're still around as subjects of Thrace. If you do so, the Antigonids will be taken over by the AI and splinter along the lines of their first option. Pergamon will of course be created shortly after the partition of the Antigonids anyway, if you do not wish to play as them. So you have the rise of Pergamon. In a chaotic fighting over Asia, a new realm has been established by the Attalid family, nobles formerly in the service of the Antigonids, based around Pergamon in Mysia Superioris. It seems their presence has been sanctioned by Lysimachus Alcimachid of Thrace, who the Attalid family are nominally serving as governors of the area. Did we see a Pergamon? There's no Pergamon here, so we have no idea of what they look like. Oh, we can sort of see it there. I guess it is like this would be Pergamon, maybe. And it just says here Pergamon has been created. But okay. Oh, that's a nice flag. These changes to the Antigonid splintering, Pergamon, and Mithridates are part of the Marius patch. Wait. Oh, I missed this part. In the Fallout, if not before, you may also see Mithridates stake his claim to northern Anatolia, and it's now possible to play as Mithridatic Pontus by starting as Chios or Pontus and interacting with new events. That's fucking cool. Because Chios is where Mithridates came from. You know, the Pontus in the game at the game start, as I said, I think last week, is not, you know, the Pontus that Caesar ends up defeating and, you know, Veni Vidi Vici. But yeah, that's really cool. We'll be able to get Mithridates in charge of Pontus. I love it. So I do. Awesome. So, as explained above, the Macedonian Aspirations mission will only become available if the Antigonids have failed to achieve their objectives and choose to abandon the east, continuing Demetrius's campaigns in Greece. I wanted to give the player a choice between surviving in Syria or returning to Macedon to carve out a new home, and add content that not only allows for the fall of the Antigonids, but adds to the game as a result of it. It's also an interesting challenge to give up one of the largest Hellenistic realms and start again from scratch. Yeah, I do definitely think it is interesting. That is the correct word here. Alright, Macedonian Aspirations. Let's see what we got here. Dominate Epirus, Poseidon's Throne, there's Cilicia, League of Corinth. We'll see what that is all about. Alright. The main branch focuses on conquering Macedon, with diplomatic options based on historical events and the ability to complete certain Greek-focused tasks from the previous mission if they are not completed before Antigonus' death. Alright. Our envoys are pleased to report that Seleucids have accepted our offer, agreeing to the marriage of Seleucus, the first Nicator Seleucid, and Stratonice Antigonid, and with it the joining of our houses. Rich banquets and festivals will accompany the occasion of their union in Seleucia Megale. Let's hope this is the blessed part of a lasting friendship, whatever our differences may have been in the past. Alright, so you can marry the Seleucids, fair enough. Historically, Demetrius was well treated by the other Diadochi immediately after Ipsus, their diplomacy with him indicating that his legitimacy and usefulness as a rightful king was not diminished by his near total loss of his lands. Seleucus going so far as to marry Demetrius's daughter, though the warm relations quickly faded once it became clear that her father had not accepted defeat. And why would you? Our workmen have completed the structures of the new city of Demetrius near the old port town of Pagasai and the historic Thessalian city of Pherae, whose populations have been moved to new lodgings at the site. Alright, so Pharaoh become a settlement. Oh, that's interesting. So you're basically relocating a city. Cool, sounds good. By securing Thessaly, the historic port of Demetrius may be founded as a bastion of Antigonid power in northern Greece and a lasting stamp of Demetrius's influence on the region. Alright. And then finally we got the infighting Macedonian brothers. Basilius Demetrius met with Alexandrus in his campaign tent, where they exchanged cautious platitudes. It seems both were seeking to put the other at ease and thus off their guards. After some days of this, Demetrius heard Alexandrus was planning his murder at a banquet and struck first, the foolish brat having left himself completely unguarded. Though initially horrified, Alexandrus' subjects have wisely acclaimed Demetrius their king, passing the Macedonian mantle to the heir of Antigonus, who now secures oaths from their officers. So the Antigonid kingdom annexes the territory of Alexandros Antipatrid. Macedon may declare war on us, and Macedon loses 50 opinion of the Antigonids. I suppose then, after you've defeated Macedon, there will be a decision for you to form Macedon. I do know there is that decision to form Macedon for, the Greek states, and I feel like if you, as the Antigonid kingdom, do take over this land, you will want to form Macedon. I don't know why you wouldn't. It makes sense, I think. It's like Antigonid Macedonia. Alright. Given the right circumstances, the Antigonids can also benefit from the infighting of Cassandra's sons in their quest for Macedonian clay, as they did historically. So, now we've got Antigonid Birthright. The final tree relies on the second having been completed, and gives the Antigonids an incentive for old history reconquest, returning to reclaim their lost lands in Asia. This imagines a scenario in which the Antigonids are more daring and less willing to forfeit their dynasty's achievements than historically, allowing them to move your center of power back to Antigonus's capitals and avenge the defeat of your founder if you so wish. Alrighty then. I love this art as well, that's really nice. So, naval precedents, our strait, I guess, conquering back the Hellespont, Aegean mastery, restoring the leagues, restoring Antigonea, damn right. The branches of this tree guide you in reconquering important parts of the Old Kingdom, such as Cyprus, Phrygia, and Phoenicia, creating a dominant naval presence in the eastern Mediterranean once more, and recreating the historical subjects you may have lost previously, such as the Ionian and Aeolian leagues, if so desired. Damn right, that'd be cool. You get a couple of feudatories, restoring the leagues. Interestingly, it's calling these two leagues rather than, they're just feudatories subjects, which is, it makes me a little bit worried about what I was saying before. I still think there's a chance, though. We'll see. Claiming the land of your ancestors will, of course, prove the ultimate victory for the Antigonid dynasty as Macedonian successors, whatever defeats they may have suffered in the past, and finally avenge the treachery of those who betrayed Alexander's most capable successor. We have proven, by sword or stylus, to all who sought to challenge our supremacy over the Macedonian, that the Antigonids are the rightful inheritors of Alexander's empire, able to unite the east and west, regrouping after every setback, victorious in the end and ever after. This marks the dawn of a new era for the world, ruled justly by a Macedonian kingdom centered where east and west meet. If we can but hold together the kingdom that Antigonus lost all those years ago. Nice. So you become Nicator, and you are, the ruler of all of the Greek land, I guess. That's cool. I like it. If you made it this far, your patience will furnish you well until the release of the Marius patch and Heirs of Alexander expansion. Until next time, Alright, so one dev comment here. Does this mean that if you manage to take Corinth, or if you decide to stay in the east, you'll only have access to one unique mission tree as the Antigonids? Yes, unfortunately that is true. But he does say there's another mission tree available for any successful Diadochi they will also have access to be discussed later. Lovely. Well, that is the dev diary. That's a pretty chunky one. That is a fairly chunky one. I think these are the real highlight images of this dev diary. These are certainly something, for sure. I like it. I do feel like the past two dev diaries, the one we had for Thrace and the one we've got for the Antigonids now, are really interesting. And again, you know, mission trees are hit and miss. These two have been hits, and you know, maybe the Egyptian and Seleucid ones not so much, but these two I'm totally down for. I think they're, you know, really interesting. I'm now I'm contemplating what my first run in the new patch will be, and while originally I would have said that it was going to be Thrace because Thrace looks really interesting, I'm now leaning towards the Antigonids and taking them down this path where I lose everything and I move to Greece, become Macedon, and take it all back. Like that sounds really interesting to me. Let me know if you think the same thing. Let me know your thoughts on the dev diary as well. I personally think it's a really good one. It's a really good one. It's a good way to end out the year. It's definitely good. It's definitely been a good time. But yeah, definitely tell me what you guys think. Before we go as well, I will say that it is the Paradox winter sale right now. I'll see if we can find that there. It's Paradox winter sale right now, and everything to do with Imperator is actually on a 50% discount. If you want to get the deluxe upgrade pack, the Epirus content pack, the game itself, any of that. Although I will say, if you do buy the game itself, right now I am very much struck by the Paradox, where I am too excited about the upcoming features coming in Marius to really want to play the game now. So I can't personally recommend playing it now, but it's 50% off, and if you don't mind leaving it in your library for a little bit, Marius is going to come out. It looks really freaking good. Definitely recommend picking it up. But yeah, all that's there. There's also some other stuff like Emperor for 50% off, CK3. I think it's 10% off or 20% off, one of the two. But yeah, there's some good stuff on the holiday sale. So if you would like to help me out, I've got an affiliate link. There's a link to that in the description below. So you do get a Steam key. It doesn't cost you anything extra, and it just puts a couple of quid in my pocket. So if you want to help me out, feel free. But anyway, with all that said and done and out of the way, thank you all very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed today's dev diary. I certainly have, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.